All right, this is going to be the setup video for the Propel Pivot GT. Before you start doing anything, meaning before you put the tires on, you're going to want to charge your battery. All right, so charge your battery by pulling out this weather cover and then plugging this guy in, and then the power source. All right, that's crucial for all rideable EVs, whether it's a one wheel or an e-bike, or in this case, an Esk8. You want to plug the device in first, followed by the power source. So all devices are going to say don't use an extension cord. And the reason why is because they're concerned that you're going to use the wrong extension cord. How you can determine whether you're using the right extension cord or not is, without going through the numbers and being too technical about it, the thickness of the wire that is on your extension cord needs to be equal to or thicker than this guy, whatever you're using, okay? Because the last thing you want to do is try to draw too many amps and then your source can't handle it. And then this will get warm and this will get hot, and it's not good news. So if you are going to use an extension cord, again, make sure whatever's coming from the wall, or in my case, my ceiling, that needs to be thicker than this guy. Otherwise, just plug this straight into the wall. All right, here you'll see it says inflate to 60 PSI. I'm doing it to 55 and seeing how that feels like, and I'll adjust accordingly. Inside this box, you'll find 4 of these tiny washers. Once you put the wheel on, you're gonna put the washer right there and then put the nut on top. This will allow the wheel to spin a lot more freely. All right, when you put the belt onto here, it is going to feel tight, all right? It's gonna feel very tight, and you're gonna be tempted to loosen this nut right here that allows the motor to slide around and therefore give you more slack in order to fit the belt in. Do not do that, do not do that. It's already set perfectly for the belt size and for the wheels that they include and for the pulley size. So do not do that. Go ahead and you're gonna put, at first I thought if you put this on first and then stick it on the motor gear, then it would be easier. But I find the opposite's actually true. So you're gonna put the belt onto the motor gear here, and then you're gonna slide that on, and you're gonna start turning this, and then it'll kind of find itself centered between the pulley and the gear down there. So Propel's pretty good about including a handle at no extra charge. It's included with the cost of the Esk8, and this is how the bracket goes. So we're gonna put this attached to the truck itself on either side, and then the tapered part comes, I guess when the board is upside down like this, the tapered part goes up. That way this angles in the proper direction, and you can hold this when it's intact. But it's pretty self-explanatory. You can take these 4 nuts here and then just tighten them on here. I have a 3/8 socket here, and this just goes on my ratchet screwdriver. And we're gonna tighten that, not too tight. We're gonna tighten 4 of them fairly snug, but not super tight. And then we're gonna tighten each one again tighter. So do it by hand, and then you can do it fairly snug. You don't wanna do it too tight just yet. And again, do all 4. Okay, just a little warning. You may have noticed that before you start installing this bracket, there's already a nut that holds the trucks together. Do not be tempted to loosen that nut and then place this on the truck and then use a single nut. You do want to use 2. The existing one that's on the board already, put the bracket on, and then put the new nuts on top. I think the reason why, at least for me, I feel safer about that is as you're tugging this along, you're gonna be creating some vibrations, and the last thing you wanna do is have the motion of holding this handle to be loosening the trucks, okay? So by having 2 sets of nuts, you're basically allowing this to secure the bracket separately from the first nut securing the trucks. All right, now that I'm done tightening it, you'll see that the bolt here coming out of the truck originally is long enough indeed to secure the truck, the bracket, and a new nut. So we do have at least 3 threads sticking out, which is good. The tool that comes with your kit it will fit the nut that they provided, but it's not gonna let you tighten the inside one, which is the reason why I use this guy, because it just has a little bit more space. To tighten the handle, you would think that they would use this Allen wrench, except this is way too small. So you're gonna have to find a 4mm hex and go ahead and tighten that. All right, we're all done. But as far as charging the Propel, I'm gonna need you guys to comment what you think. For things like the one wheel, all right, this guy. We are advised to charge it, let the light turn green, and then continue charging for about an hour. And what that does is that allows all the cells to balance themselves out. And the BMS will do that and will do it safely. However, we all know about e-bike fires and scooter fires and things like that with poor quality either batteries or poor quality BMSs. And so you're advised to unplug it immediately after it turns green to prevent overcharging. Things like the one wheel supposedly will not overcharge because the BMS tells it not to, and we trust it, you know, American company. But Propel and possibly other Esk8s, I don't know whether to charge it to green and then continue charging and let it balance the cells, or if it doesn't really have a smart function and we should unplug it right away. So each to their own. I think I am gonna unplug it right away until, or unless I start feeling that I'm losing range beyond more than I need to, and then I may charge it for a little bit longer to help balance out the cells, if indeed that's what it does. I couldn't help myself, I got a little curious, so I have this temp gun, and I usually use this for RC cars and things like that to check motor temps on my custom builds, but I thought I would check the temperature of the brick because it is fairly hot. More hot on the back or the bottom rather than the front. So we're gonna go ahead and just measure that. If it's higher than, I don't know, 115, I feel like that might be too hot. Ooh, 126. I don't know, the 115 is just a guess, but it is so hot that I can kind of barely touch that. So having this on cardboard and foam and stuff like that's probably not a good idea. I'm gonna keep this on the concrete while I charge it. Since the battery's inside, you're not gonna be able to feel the temperature of the battery itself. The ESC is cold, so, or the controller rather. And so it is, you know, if I could feel it, if the battery is hot, that would be worse than the charging brick being hot, because if the charging brick gets hot and worst case scenario that thing explodes, it's so much better that that thing explodes or melts, which has happened to my hoverboard from, I don't know, 10 years ago, versus the battery malfunctioning. So it's much, much better that this guy is warm versus that, but I can't tell the temperature of that because it's encased. So this is the spec of the stock charging brick, 4.5 amps and 50.4 volts. So I may want to upgrade the charger at some point. And the temperature of it actually makes me want to do it immediately. So I would replace it with something similar to this. This is what I use for one of my e-bikes, and it is an aftermarket charger. It has a heatsink, the whole thing is a heatsink, and it does have a built-in fan. So that's two safety devices to keep it cool that stock chargers, such as that charger for the same e-bike, does not have. So heatsink and fan, no heatsink and fan. All right, that was interesting. So it's been less than, I don't know, an hour and a half, and it's already turned green. So I guess the battery is fairly charged already when it's shipped. Maybe 50 to 80%. So to prevent arcing, which can damage the connector and kind of make it not last as long, you don't want to unplug from there. We want to unplug from here. So again, when you unplug this, or when this is unplugged, you always want to have that plugged in. So in other words, when the power is engaged, you want to do it from this end, power engaged and unengaged, disengaged. You don't want to do it from that end. I just thought of something else that might be useful. So the Propel Pivot GT comes with a 20 amp hour battery and a 4.5 amp charger. So technically, doing the math, it should take about 4.5 hours to charge. This does not come shipped to me empty, so I wasn't expecting to be 4.5 hours. But being that the charging brick is fairly warm and charging time of 4.5 hours to me is not that long for the number of miles that this guy is supposed to get. So what I'm gonna do is I will explore the idea of getting an aftermarket charger, the one I talked about with the heatsink and the fan, except I'm gonna lower the amperage. So it will take longer to charge, but it should be substantially cooler. I'm thinking maybe 3 amp charger might do, just a thought. Okay, so that's how I set up the board. If you guys have any other tips or you've done it differently or found other better ways to do it or preferences or whatever, feel free to share in the comments below so we can let everyone know your thoughts, and I'll see you around. Bye.